Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, August the 12th, 2024, with the moon in Scorpio. The moon sets the general public tone. Scorpio can be more introspective or private or secretive, but there's certainly a lot of intensity and passion with that moon in Scorpio. But the moon in Scorpio will be in stress to the sun in Leo. Leo's a fire sign, Scorpio's a water sign. Together they either create steam or boiling, but there can be a lot of tension with getting your needs met, especially with communication Mercury retrograde from August the 4th to August the 28th. And remember, with Mercury in retrograde, there's a tendency for misinformation or jumping to conclusions, so just be aware. Tuesday, the moon has now slipped into outgoing, adventurous Sagittarius. Scorpio wants to be more inward, more hidden, more private. Sagittarius wants to have fun, travel out to the world, socialize with everybody, so the tone will be very different. And the moon in Sag, a fire sign, is in harmony with the sun in Leo, a fire sign. So a lot of things with the moon and the sun in harmony seem to just flow more easily. So on Wednesday, as the moon continues in Sagittarius, Mars, ambitious, assertive Mars, will align with Jupiter. This happens every 2 years because Mars has a 2-year cycle. Jupiter brings promise, opportunities, a lot of protection. Mars that can indicate a day for successful work projects, work opportunities, but Mercury's in retrograde. So it still brings a lot of good fortune and luck and opportunity, but not for starting new projects, but maybe finalizing old projects, like achieving those goals. And around 12 noon Pacific time, for an hour or two, the moon in fiery outgoing Sagittarius will be squaring or blocked by Sirius restricted Saturn. That can be an emotional time of being frustrated and blocked, but it only lasts an hour or two, and the whole day is that Mars-Jupiter. Maybe the Mars-Jupiter is you're just trying to finish and accomplish previous goals, but maybe for an hour or two early afternoon, you're feeling like you're spinning your wheels, but that Sagittarius energy will keep your spirits up and keep pushing you forwards. Thursday, the moon continues in fiery Sagittarius, but goes into pragmatic, realistic, grounding Capricorn at 10:52 a.m. Pacific time. And the Mars, as it's pulling away from outgoing, lucky Jupiter, it's now forming a square to Saturn. So Mars-Saturn, in the positive, could just be that you're working really hard to accomplish your tasks. But still, it's a time when you could be feeling really tired, really everything is slowing down. It's taking more energy to accomplish the same activities, goals. This is because by the 19th, next Monday, Jupiter, expansive Jupiter, will square restricted Saturn. And this is a time of a lot of financial, career readjustments. The Jupiter wants to expand, and the Saturn is like, no, we're going to keep you more contracted and slow. So on Thursday, back to Thursday, the 15th, as that Mars is now squaring Saturn. So you're feeling this drive and this push, but it's taking harder, and you may be more worried and frustrated. Friday, the 16th, the moon continues in Capricorn, but during the afternoon is a good time because the emotional Capricorn is more sensible, more professional, more pragmatic energy. And around noon, 1 p.m. Pacific time, the moon will be in harmony with Venus. Moon Venus is very good for socializing, for expressing yourself creatively. And we are moving into the weekend. And so depending on the time zone, it may already be going into early Friday evening with Moon Venus, very pleasurable, very sociable. Or if you're like on the west coast of the United States where it's 12 noon, or up to 1 p.m., you could be reaching out to your friends, your cohorts, and making plans for the weekend. And by 6 p.m., 7 p.m. approximately, Pacific time, now the practical, sensible moon in Capricorn will be in harmony with Saturn. Saturn is the planet that rules Capricorn. So here's the moon in Capricorn in harmony to Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. This is all real, sensible, practical, organized energy, really favorable for any kind of business, plans, achieving the goals. Saturday, the moon continuing in Capricorn for the first part of the day, it's going to be in a trine in the best flow of energy to liberating, innovative Uranus from about 10:11 approximately a.m. Pacific time. The moon can have a lot to do with our habits, our patterns, and when it's in harmony with Uranus, we can break out of old stuck routines, bring in some more emotional excitement, and really good if you're trying to break a habit. By 2:45 p.m. Pacific time, the moon is now moved into Aquarius. Now, what's interesting with Capricorn to Aquarius, Capricorn is inclines us to be more traditional or conventional. Whereas when the moon for 2.5 days is in Aquarius, Aquarius is more unconventional, looks to the future. Capricorn looks to the tried and true of the past. Aquarius can also compel us to be more sociable with our friends, getting involved with group activities and organizations, ideal for Saturday night. And Sunday, the 18th, the moon continues in quirky, progressive, friendly Aquarius. The first half of the day, where Pacific time, communication Mercury will be in a hard angle to Uranus. This could mean where there's these unexpected changing of plans, some upsets with expectations and communications, and that unexpected energy is certainly going to be enhanced because as the Mercury is squaring Uranus, the Mercury is retrograde. But one good thing, two good things, but one good thing is that also the retrograde Mercury, as it's hitting Uranus, bringing a lot of unexpected anxious energies, but it's also crossing the Sun in Leo. And so this could be when you could maybe reconnect to situations, whether business, whether personal, where you got off track. And so this could be a very favorable time for forgiveness, for getting back on the same track. And with Mercury, with squaring Uranus, it may all, blow up initially, and then you get on track and you clear the air. And which helps with the last half of the day, where it's the strongest, Pacific time. Sociable, pleasurable Venus will be in tension with expansive Jupiter. Now, these are the two great benefic planets in the chart, but they're in tension with each other, meaning you could be too much of a good thing, spending too much money, but you were loving it when you were doing it, too much eating, too much drinking. You could just really be having a really good time. But you're having a really good time. Moderation is the key to not regretting any of your choices as you wake up on Monday the next day. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.